And now our last event on the program is the event that 28,000 people went to Bathurst to see. It's the Australian 500cc Grand Prix. Now to the big capacity Grand Prix bikes in the Australian 500cc Grand Prix. National flag waved. Snape comes out very quickly on 32. Johnson on the outside of him on 7. So the Queenslander leads at Hill Corner. Team Honda's Andrew Johnson the second spot.
And Johnson already into the lead as they go over Mountain Straight on the first occasion.
Pollock in third on 41. Miller the next rider through on 15.
Small field and a disappointing field in the Australian 500cc Grand Prix. Next year, officials have announced a major increase in prize money, bringing the total purse to more than $50,000, largely in an attempt to entice more people to enter the senior Grand Prix of the meeting. These bikes are very expensive to run, and Johnson's 500cc Grand Prix works machine is the most expensive of all, costing some $60,000 to bring to this country and even more to run.
Technically interesting machine, a V3 water-cooled two-stroke, production version, if you like, of the bike that Spencer used in last year's World Championship, made available to the various Honda distributors around the world. Johnson really cleaning out now and heading down towards the elbow with a very comfortable lead. 27 years of age from Melbourne. And it's interesting that circulating around the pits at the moment is quite a strong rumour that Johnson may give it away at the end of this year.
Johnson started the rumour, in fact. He says that after winning the Australian Grand Prix, that really very little remains for him. He wants to win the Swan Insurance Series at the end of this year, a series that's always eluded him. And should that occur, then almost certainly he'll hang up his helmet. His wife and 2 children have every reason to want to retire. Just bought a block of land out in the bush outside Melbourne. And none of those thoughts are going through his mind at the moment as he charges over Mountain Straight on the second. 15 laps, opening as he pleases a lead.
Snape and Hollick, second and third. And Johnson, of course, the outright lap record holder at Mount Panorama, 2:13.1. Lap average of about 167 kilometres an hour. As we look at the battle for second and third from the chopper.
And that's Jeff Miller, in fact, now coming up in 4th position. So that's the battle for 3rd and 4th position between Miller and Hollick in front of him. Miller, the South Australian rider, threw the bike away in an earlier race, the Motorline 10,000, has got it repaired, and he tries over the top at McPhillamy Park, and that's not the place to try and pass on the outside, and wisely Jeff Miller backs off. Miller first came to Bathurst on a 500cc Grand Prix bike only last year. Surprising when you consider that the man's well into his 30s and a very experienced motorcycle racer. Pollock in front of him, a Victorian on the Suzuki 500. And down the straight, Miller has snuck through Forest Elbow, and it's Miller on the outside on bike 15, Hollick on the inside, and Hollick will pull in behind Miller.
And we just had a glimpse in the background there of Peter McKay on the 350 machine. And he's not doing too bad, giving away 150 cc's to these guys here.
McKay, of course, winner of the 350cc Australian Grand Prix, heading for the pits. One of the retirements we can ill afford, in fact, is Craig Harwood on a Yamaha 350. As we come back to a dice for 5th position between bike 18, Ron Taylor. Ron Sumskis behind him on bike 39. Then comes bike 49, Kerry Chapman from Western Australia, on another 350. And at the tail of the field is Stephen Hardwick. So the 350s and one 500 enjoying themselves in the midfield. But there you can see how the legs of the 500cc bike of Taylor open up on Mountain Straight. And Sumskis closes again as they get into the corner.
Oh, and Hollig in trouble on 41, coasting down Conrod.
In third place. So his race is run. He looks behind him to make sure that he's not getting in anyone's way as he coasts to the pits. As Johnson goes into GDX corner, bike 32, David Snape, enters Hill corner. So the length of Mountain Straight separating them and then some. There's Jeff Miller has stopped. That's on the way up the mountain, so it's before the cutting, and Jeff Miller in third position has rolled to a halt. What a disappointment for the South Australian. And that would put third position to the 350cc bike of Peter McKay. So a 350cc machine takes over a major position, and there he is there, bike 70, Peter McKay, takes over third position in the Australian 500cc Grand Prix. Meantime, back to fourth, and it's really being fought out now with Sumskis taking over from Morris. Taylor, rather, Ron Taylor. Who's now under all sorts of threat from Kerry Chapman behind him. Chapman having made the long trip across the Nullarbor. And looks like picking up major prize money in Australia's premier Grand Prix, something which I'm sure he didn't consider before he placed his entry. There are some 35 homes dotted around the Mount Panorama track, which of course is a public road for all except 2 weekends of the year. And as Andrew Johnson slams to victory in the Australian Grand Prix, the residents go about their normal Sunday afternoon activities. Across the top of the mountain is Andrew Johnson. Watch the style of the man, perhaps not the most stylish Grand Prix rider we've ever had. See how his body moves across the top of the machine, unlike, say, a Greg Hansford, who tucked in a lot more on the bike in his latter stages, although in the early parts of his career, Hansford rode very much like Johnson. Very upset, deploring, in fact, the fact that he doesn't have major competition, because that's the way Andrew Johnson likes to win, by the shortest possible margin.
Oh, and who's in trouble here? That looks like Snape.
It is Snape. He's pulled up alongside Jeff Miller's bike, up into the cutting as Andrew Johnson comes up to lap both of them, or rather to lap Snape, Miller being several laps. And look, Miller's pulling the tank off his bike. Snape's out of petrol. He's run out of petrol in a 15-lap race, and he's getting a refuel from Miller on the circuit. Meantime, second position now is taken over by this man, Peter McKay. He's just gone past them. So second place in the Australian 500cc Grand Prix, with 1.5 laps remaining, is being held at the moment by the 350cc machine of Peter McKay, and he's trying desperately hard.
And that's worth $1,000 to McKay as Snape gets a restart, pushed by Jeff Miller. Oh, he has to drag the fuel down as they push it uphill.
And if he can get it started, he's perhaps 25 seconds behind McKay, and there he goes. He's underway, so he's maybe 25, 30 seconds behind McKay at this stage, with 1.5 laps remaining. There's Andrew Johnson now, down through the S's. About to lap 5th and 6th place riders. Sumskis on bike 39. Probably not aware that Johnson's behind him yet, but he certainly will be. As Johnson now wends his way through the traffic down Mountain Straight, 260, 270 kilometres an hour past the drive-in, then up over the humps. Both the back and the front wheel off the deck over the drive-in humps.
And Johnson coming up now for his second straight Grand Prix victory in the 500 class and $1,500 in prize money.
There's the blue flag, 1 lap remaining for Andrew Johnson. There's second place, Peter McKay, up through the cutting. So Johnson about 3/4 of a lap in front of him, some 2 minutes in fact. Down Conrod Straight for the last time, Andrew Johnson about to lap third place man David Snape. Snape on the outside of the circuit, and will Johnson lap him? No, he's pulling in behind him, So it gives Snape another lap to try and catch Peter McKay in second position. Will Johnson overtake him here? Still backs off, and Andrew Johnson wins the Australian 500cc Grand Prix for the second year in succession and sends David Snape out on 6.1 kilometres. But here's McKay down Conrod Straight, and he'll take second position. Some 2 minutes behind Johnson. And he takes second place in the Australian 500cc Grand Prix. And he'll finish 21.1 seconds behind Peter McKay.